All right, so with the release of this right here, the new DJI Neo, there's definitely a bunch of questions that have come up. And a lot of it is around new flyers. So a lot of people might be getting into drones now, and this might be their very first drone. And with the ability to hook it up with a bunch of different remotes and all the other features that it does offer, it can get kind of confusing as far as what am I really buying and what are my limitations with the drone if I don't want to expand it out. Here I just want to briefly go through what to expect, what you get with the DJI Neo, what are some of the features you can do with it, and then a little bit more in detail of some of the controllers at work if you want to move up to, I'm saying kind of, this is like level 1, I'm calling it, where it's the basics. Then you go up to level 2, which is, I would say, the remote control. Level 3 would be full FPV immersion. While all of it is really nice to experience, it does come at a price, and we'll talk about those price breakdowns for these things as well. First thing we'll talk about, of course, is the bare minimum. $199 for the DJI Neo. With this drone by itself, what you're able to do is charge it up, take it up in the air, and there's a bunch of quick shots here on the very top of the drone.
Droney. Circle. Rocket. Spotlight.
There you go.
Helix. Follow.
At the very top here, you're able to choose between 6 different quick shots, and technically it's actually 8 total. The last one is a custom one where you can actually select between 3 different ones. But you're able to, without hooking up anything besides a phone, you can take this drone up in the air and be able to shoot some video with it and not have to worry about any other controllers. That will come in at a baseline $199. Now you will want to have a mobile phone in order for you to actually see the settings that are on this drone. Those settings are of course important because you might want to change different parameters. The drone itself can shoot video, it can shoot closer to you, it can shoot at a medium distance and a farther distance. And depending on which quick shot you do, you can shoot at a low height, medium, or a higher height. And the only way you're able to change those settings are through the DJI Fly app. Also, with the Fly app and the Neo, you can use the virtual joysticks on the screen. So if you wanted to have a little bit more control than just doing the quick shots, you wanted to pilot the drone a little bit, you are able to use the virtual sticks. However, you are limited as far as distance goes because of the Wi-Fi connection between your phone and the drone. DJI is rating this connection to be about 50 meters maximum as far as reliability of transmission between the two. So if you are a new flyer, this would be what you're gonna start out with. $199, you're of course just gonna use a phone that you more likely already have, and you're able to get up and flying doing some of the quick shots, as well as the manual flying with the virtual sticks on the mobile app. However, like I said, you're not able to fly it at far distances because that connection is just a 50-meter Wi-Fi connection. Now, if you do have the drone only with your phone, another way you can control the drone is with voice control. What's really cool is that when the drone is up in the air, you can actually speak into the phone and give it some commands, whether it's gonna be do a droney, and you can tell it how far to go, do a circle, you can say go further away, you can also tell the drone to go higher. All right, so once you launch the DJI Fly app, on the right side you'll see that there is a little text bubble, and you click on that one, and now you're in voice control. So when you are in voice control, you have a bunch of different settings and sayings that you can tell the drone to do. So if I click on the bottom and I see that there's a bunch of different options here. Hey, fly.
Here.
Helix.
Helix.
And there you go. Helix is by far one of my favorite modes to use, and now it's gonna go into Helix mode. It came into position first, and now it's gonna go all the way around, kind of spirals up and away from the subject. Look at that. How cool is this? This is so cool. Once the Helix is done, or whatever command you give it, it'll perform the action, and then it'll come right back to where it started. The next stage or level would be level 2, and this is when you're going to be purchasing an additional remote control, an actual physical remote control, and not using the virtual sticks on your mobile device. At the bare minimum, you're going to want to pick up this one right here, which is the DJI RC N3 remote control. Now, you will need your mobile device to put into the holder here up top, and you'll be able to now control the drone and see what the drone sees through your mobile device when it's hooked up to the remote control. So on top of the $199 for the Neo, you're gonna be spending $129 for this remote control. And then of course your mobile device will sit here on top. Now DJI recently released a firmware update that unlocks this one right here, which is the DJI RC2. This one is really cool because of the fact that you have a built-in screen here. So you don't have to use a mobile device anymore. You have a built-in screen right on the remote. Now having that convenient screen is nice, but it does come at a hefty price. RC2 comes in at $369. Big jump over the RCN1, which is only $129. All right, so the first thing you'll notice here is I'm not dependent now on having the drone face me in order for you to engage anything. I can also fly it manually through the virtual sticks on the app, but here you can fly it as you would, like I mentioned, like a Mini or an Air or a Mavic. You can just keep it in your hand. I can do the auto takeoff here, press and hold, and there you go. If you want to fly your drone just like some of the other ones on the market, like the DJI Mini, the Air, the Mavic, and you want to go out there at great distances, you're going to need a remote control in order for you to do that. And that's the reason why I bring this up, is because I don't want people thinking if I just buy the Neo by itself, I'm able to just do all these shots that I see on YouTube where people are flying away. You need a remote control, and just know it's an extra cost. Now, having a remote isn't just for the sake of flying it really far. It does unlock a few different modes here that you don't get with the drone by itself. First one, we have 3 different speeds. We have the C, N, and the S, which is Cine. First one is Cine, where you're able to fly the drone a little bit slower. N is in normal mode, and then S is in sport mode if you want to go a little bit faster. Again, these are 3 settings that you don't have if you're flying the drone with your mobile phone or with the DJI Neo and your mobile app by itself. You're gonna need this remote control, these remote controls, in order for you to do that. Also, when you fly with one of these remotes, you are also gonna have focus track, which is the ability to turn on 3 different options, which are active track, where you're able to follow a subject. Yes, you could do that with the quick shot here, but it does give you a little bit more control over on the screen where you're able to highlight the subject. It just has a little bit better interface for you to set it up through active track or through focus track on the remote. Next, we also have Spotlight. Again, we have Spotlight here. However, on Spotlight with the remote, you can select a subject that is actually a lot further away. If you wanted to fly, I did some testing at La Jolla, did a Spotlight over the pier. So I selected the pier, and with Spotlight, which I really like, is that all you have to do is push the joystick in any direction, and the drone will try to maintain and keep that subject in the middle of your screen. So Spotlight is really cool. This is one of my favorite modes to pick. Spotlight will now keep that subject in the middle of your frame while you pilot the drone. So no matter which direction you point the drone at, it will automatically try to maintain that subject in the middle. Hit record, and now Spotlight is there, and I'm gonna fly to the right of the pier. And I'm not gonna do anything as far as turning the drone back left. But if I'm in Spotlight mode, the drone will automatically turn because it's in that mode. So I am flying with one hand towards the pier, towards the end of the pier, and I'm actually flying it with, and I'm actually pushing towards it to the right, but the drone is actually turning and keeping that pier in the middle. POI is one of those intelligent flight modes where it goes into like a circle or an orbit. But again, you can select the subject, where here I selected a building. I wanted the drone to go to the right and go around the building, and you just hit POI, hit start and go, and the drone will automatically fly by itself, or autonomously fly by itself, and do that route without you having to control anything. There's a ton of different settings in the mobile app when it's connected to a remote control, and these are things that you're not gonna get if you just had the drone itself and using the phone. And finally, we move over to, I would say, the next level, level 3, stage 3, and that is if you want that FPV experience and that immersive experience using something like goggles, you could pick up this setup here, which is the DJI Goggles 3. And if you wanted the RC motion, you wanted to be able to pilot the drone with something like a joystick, you could pair this up with the goggles, but this is another $99. So I could bring it back in here, come back underneath, you know, go underneath these trees. Right above me right here, I'm sitting here flying. And this is something, again, like I said, I probably wouldn't push my luck as much with something like the Avata. And if you're an FPV flyer and you want to have that full manual control over the drone, so you're able to now pilot it and manually fly it and do all of the acro moves you're going to need something like this, which is the DJI RC3 remote control. This comes in at $199. So if you want to go this route, but like I mentioned, this package here is if you want to get into the FPV space, and with a drone like this that can actually take a beating, this will probably be one of the most, I would say, immersive and reliable systems you can get. Yeah, it gets to be pricey when you have to buy some of this gear, but with the HD transmission from your drone to the actual goggles itself, you have a crystal clear feed. And then of course, you'll be piloting the drone with your remote. You don't necessarily always have to fly manual. You can actually toss it into the standard normal and sport mode, which we have here on these remotes. So you can just fly the drone with GPS and easily fly through the same way you would flying with this remote. So you do have that option here. It's not just manual mode only. Now, like I mentioned, this is targeted for the new pilots that don't know much about the DJI system. However, the RCN2 remote control, which is a previous one that came out with one of the other drones, actually works with the Neo as well. And there it is, guys. Just want to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown, just because there's definitely a lot of content out there. And a lot of times people don't realize that you can't get some of these shots unless you pick up a remote and do a little further distance flying, because you have that Oculus, the O4 transmission with the remote controls, and you'll see some, really cool drone or FPV shots, and you can't get those shots with just the drone by itself. You're gonna need to pair it with something like the goggles, the motion, or the RC remote control. The most unique thing that the Neo does have is that you are able to play in all of these spaces. That's something you can't do with the Mini. It's something you can't do with the Air or the Mavic drones. The Neo can actually play in the space of not having a remote, or if you want to fly far and have a couple extra features, you pick up a baseline remote like the RCN3. And if you want to have full immersion, you can get a goggle system. That's the one thing that is different about this one that we don't have on any of the other drones on the market. Of course, I have a lot more videos on the DJI Neo if you guys want to see those. Links will be down below in the video description. And if you guys got value from this one, a big like would be much appreciated. This is Ultra Anastacio with FlytPath.com. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.